All right, welcome back, guys. So this is gonna be war number two. So let's just get right into it. So this war is I'm pretty excited. So this is gonna be my first war with NTW at rank 4. So got some rank 4 NTW gameplay for you guys here. So the first one is gonna be this falter node, Nick Fury. Really, I would say the best counter to this for me would have been Professor X, but I brought in TW for two reasons. One, I wanted to use my rank four, and two, we're gonna be taking a Bullseye later, and so she's gonna work much better for that fight. So, I throw a heavy attack is the rotation I use with NTW is throw the heavy attack, get the invulnerability on them, uh, throw the SP2, get to the 16 charges, and then spam SP1s to refresh the incinerates. I am fully boosted here. You can see my PI is at 57k, so I'm not even gonna have time to get through his first life and be able to even use a special one. So didn't quite work out that way. So I'm just going back to the SP2 here, letting his life drain a bit. Trying to bait the SP2 here, and then we'll throw ours, and then he'll be dead. So just waiting to falter out. Very quick and clean fight. We took a little bit of block damage right there because he's in second life. But this SP2 just hits very, very hard. So, and he's done. So very quick fight. She's one of my favorite mutants in the entire game. I would say she's actually number two behind Wags. I love champions that hard counter their inferior class, and the fact that all of her debuffs are passive really helps her to get around skill champs, conflictor, fisticuffs, all those things that are on my path, she's great for. So I'm excited to, get more content out for you guys with NTW. So Bastion, on the other hand, just full disclaimer, I don't even really know how to play him totally. I believe so. What I do with him is throw the heavy attack, SP2, and then SP1s. I think I'm messing up his rotation a little bit. Because I believe, and guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm fine, with you know, constructive criticism, but I believe you want to use like an SB3 after the SB2. But I hate sitting through that. So, but this just was a ton of damage right here, through the SB2, and then that SP1 just hit very hard. So I'm just focused on beating the SP2s, that places the concussion on me, which does affect my ability to parry. I don't want him throwing SP1s, so you'll see the bleed stacking up on him right now. And if he throws that SP1, they're all going to come back to me. So I'm focused on just baiting the SP2s. There is one SP2 that I go ahead and dex. In like a questing setting, I would definitely go for the dex every time. But I just want to be careful I don't, get flipped by it and then stunned, and then he's just comboing me. So with Bastion, it's pretty safe, but yeah, I do want to just kind of, you know, just play it safe and bait the SP2. So I use another SP2 here. Again, probably should have thrown a heavy first. That's my mistake. I'll get better with them, but I'll probably be getting a lot of experience with Bastion this season since he's whitelisted. So I'm gonna go for an SP1 here, and then that should pretty much do it. So very clean fight. Again, probably should have threw maybe like an SB3 in there. Would have been a little better, but I'm not too mad at that. So now this war, I'm taking path 6 as usual in section 1. I'm actually helping out on path 2, section 2 here. This is E.M.P, so we have the Odin pre-fight on here for the shock. And then we're just going to go in with Bastion. So this is stun immune gentle. So I'm just making sure I get, the spacing down, Dex one time, let him throw his heavy attack, and then, wait out the heavy. You just have to basically, work around the unstoppable. But since Bastion is tactic this season, he gets around all that just fine. So, I'm good with baiting the SP2 or SP1 from Gentle. I don't really care. But yeah, I mean, you'll see here, the shocks get placed on me. They don't really do a lot of damage. So we're gonna go ahead and bait this SP1, wait out the incinerates. I'm gonna go ahead and throw another heavy attack, and then cancel the SP2. And then from here, I'm going to focus on just spamming SP1. So, yeah, I mean, not a bad fight. The shocks did a little bit of damage to me. I'm already kind of forgetting. I'm not sure if I'm using Bastion for another fight or not. I think this is the last fight with him anyway. So, I'm not too worried about the damage I'm taking. But right here, you'll see that I'm ignoring the unstoppable. So, I just need to get to another SP1, and he should go down. So. Now, because EMP is based on the amount of buffs you have, I requested that my backup only places the shock buff for me. I don't really want all of them placed because that's just not really necessary in this fight. So yeah, we just have the one buff there. So anyways, throwing another heavy attack, and then we'll get to the SP1 here, and then yeah, that'll pretty much do it. So I realized that I was ignoring the unstoppable, so we can just throw that off there. So now we're gonna get into a few minis here. First one's gonna be with NTW. So this is kind of why I brought her to my attack team. So this is gonna be a Bullseye that it's ebb and flow knockdown, and he's gonna go debuff immune when you knock them down. So that can cause you to take a lot of block damage. So what you really want here is to get around that right back at it node. You really need a passive stud play. So that's kind of why I assigned myself to this fight, because even though she's not bleed immune, I have the passive stuns. I can safely parry him, and then we can just rinse and repeat this over and over again. So now when I trigger his killer instinct evade, she's going to evade and then place a passive stun on him. So it works really well. I'm just not super comfortable with dexing his specials to this day. So you'll see me just kind of take the blocked hits. This is my last fight with her, so I always keep that kind of stuff in mind. Do I really need them again, or are they fine here? So here I'm just starting to become very aggressive. He's evading. I don't even care. I'm just throwing my relic. I'm attacking into him. But I'm gonna throw this heavy off just so that way I can, you know, remove the protection. But honestly, there was a little bit of a mistake on that one because I really didn't need to throw this SP2. I could have just threw the SP1, but we stack it up to the 21 debuffs, but they're getting ready to start dropping off again. So, um, yeah, I mean, I removed the protection here with my SP1, and that refreshes the passive debuffs there. So, or passive incinerate, sorry. So 20 plus incinerates, and he's dead. So I really could have played that fight better, but overall is a pretty clean fight. We got the one shot, still got a decent amount of health. There's never a point in time in that fight where I didn't feel comfortable. So, but moving on to Boss Island here, got two more fights. So we're taking the Sentinel. This one here has a falter node. You can use Vox, his SP2, just ignore the entire node altogether. But you can also just play around the node and just kind of keep your distance and either land an attack, a special, or a heavy, and it kind of refreshes it. So I mainly just focused on keeping my distance so I can make sure I have the unstoppable on this node. Other than that, there's really nothing in this fight I need to worry about. So Vox just destroys really every tech, but he destroys Sentinel. So I'm just keeping my distance here. See, now I have the unstoppable. I can be aggressive. I can parry. I can intercept. I can really do whatever I want. So I'm throwing my SP1s in this fight, just kind of get close to 2 bars of power. And then if you're not familiar by now with what Vox does, you want to throw your special when you're close to another bar of power. You throw another special, and it banks the buffs there. So you see all the buffs underneath my health bar. Now, when I go to throw another special attack, it's going to convert all of those into degens, and this next special attack is just going to melt him. So, yeah, I'm comfortable with the SP2 on Sentinel, as you guys saw in the last war video, but again, I just much prefer the SP1, so I'm going to stick with that. So, I'm very close to 2 bars of power here, so we're going to go ahead and throw our special right here. And that's 44 degens. I want to say this kills him. I mean, it just 15k, 17k, 18k, 20k, like that is crazy. Yeah. So the falter kicks in, but it doesn't matter. He's dead. So really, really clean fight with Vox. Quick, easy. Anytime that there's, a tech, it's just Vox. The only note I don't use him on is like the last war, if they are debuffing me on knockdowns, that won't really work for him. But anyway, so let's move on to the boss here. So I just don't really understand the hype behind Solvarch. So you see him placed on certain nodes. They're trying him on the boss node. I get it. He's you pay for him, I guess, or whatever. I don't even know how you obtain this guy, but he's not a good defender. No disrespect, but there's just nothing going on in this fight. So I don't know if it's just because Vox is really good and shuts it off, but. all I'm doing is medium, light, medium, spamming my special attacks just like you saw me doing in my last fight. And I'm baiting SP1s. I think I bait one SP2. I just block it. I don't even really care. But the timing on the SP1 is, you dex that first hit, wait just a second, and then he's going to have those flames come out there, and you just dex that too. So it's a two-step process. We get clipped by a couple specials, I believe, like maybe two in this fight. I had the invulnerability boost active. I just wasn't worried about it. So, they changed this note on the boss where, it's no longer just stun immune, so it kind of rotates between, slow immune, stun immune. So, I just have to make sure that I watch for when he's stun immune. But I start to get the hang of the timing of the SP1. So, I'm talking about how easy it is, and I've gotten clipped twice by a special attack. So, but you'll see here, I start to really lock in and just get the dex timing down. So, all these buffs I have, we place 48 degens on Solvarch. So here we go. You're gonna see just this is insane. So, what are we even at? 48 degens, it's sticking for 47k. That is crazy. So the next time I use a special attack, we're good to go. So we get the solo. I had, I believe, 6 fights this war. So, 6-0 in the second war, 5-0 in the last one. So it took a few more fights in this one. And we ended up winning this war. So, that was the important thing. So, just gonna block this SP2, bait out another SP1, and I mean, he's dead. We got 55 degens on him. So. You didn't even get to throw another special. So yeah, that'll do it for this war breakdown. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it, and I will catch you guys in the next one. See ya.